hello there. I thought we'd start off this season finale doing that thing that people do where they act like their audience is interrupting some rare moment of peace and tranquility that they haven't had for some time. Let me get back into learning Mr. Rogers' shit real quick. I apologize for not being prepared. Shut up. We're about ready now. Alright, y'all. Welcome to the season 1 finale of Abject Demiurge podcast for creatives. So we got a lot to talk about now that my attempt at humorous pretentiousness is over. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I do know what I was thinking. I was thinking that would be funny. Anyway, so where should we start? We can start with his music stopping. Okay. So welcome. Season 1 finale of the Abject Demiurge podcast. My name is Alex D. Holden. As you can see, it is just me this morning. It's morning. So all of that for podcast audio only listeners is going to seem even dumber than it was to everyone else. I just thought what was it that I said that first episode? Fuck about and ascertain. I thought I'd try to, I guess, do that. So here we are. We're going to call this the season 1 finale. I have a few things that we're going to talk about on this agenda. Mostly, we're going to go through the usual real quick. So for anyone tuning in right now, welcome to the Abject Demiurge, a podcast for creatives. My name is Alex, and if you find anything of value here between now and when the season 1 premiere, whenever that may be, whenever we get around to it, the QR code up there in the corner goes to my linktree. You can follow me on all the things, find me on all the things, whatever you want to do there. There is also a buy me a coffee link there. So if by any chance you feel inclined to try to make maybe help season 2 be a little bit better than the shit show that little gimmick just was. Excuse me. I apologize. Then, shoot me some coffee money. I need it since I'm recording this at 11:08 p.m. the night before. So for those of you who may just be stumbling across this, you can watch this on YouTube, on Facebook, and listen wherever you get your podcasts, if you choose to just listen to it. As of the last time I looked, Twitch's terms no longer allow non-affiliates to multicast to other platforms, whether that includes those pre-recording and multi-streaming. I am unsure, but as I guess, out of posterity, I think, or out of more or less frustration, I'm deciding that until that maybe changes or never, I'm going to no longer multi-stream to Twitch, which is, for my view count anyway, was my lowest anyway. So yeah, they are planning on slamming the hammer down on non-affiliate creators, non-partners, I guess is what they refer to them as. So unless something changes in the fall, that also I will not be there. We're gonna make this a little bit more comfortable. Um, so you can find me on all my socials there at the linktree, and you can lend a hand that way. If you're on socials and you come across this or any of my reels or any of these live streams, if you could share those and maybe even share them to some artists or creatives of any kind that you know that you think might benefit from this conversation that we've been having, because we're going to talk about that here shortly. Uh, So we're gonna go ahead and get into this. So before I run my mouth any longer, we're gonna go ahead and do the thing. Okay. So season one finale, episode 10. Um, so over the course of the show, we're gonna start talking a little bit about. I want to talk about what we're doing or what we've done, what where we're potentially going in the future. Talk about some setbacks. Talk about what I've learned. And give a shout out to some people who have been incredibly awesome in this process. Uh, and talk about what I'm doing and why this has been such a, especially the last like weeks and weeks where there have been no episodes and just me shit posting on my socials. Uh, Politics, man. So during the course of this first season, I have a shit ton of notes here, which I think is one of the things that I either need to do more of in the future when we get around to season one or less of. I am unsure of how that goes. So, over the course of the show, we had this is episode 10. We had two, that includes the two pilots. The first one, the failed pilot, which for anybody new to this or stumbling across this, just for a quick explanation of the purpose of this show is we talk to artists and creatives of different kinds, and the purpose of the conversation is to discuss failures, setbacks, rejections, the things that get in our way, and try to normalize that conversation, which I feel like has been actually a pretty successful and engrossing conversation that we've been having, and I've actually enjoyed talking to a lot of people that I don't know that I would have otherwise had conversations with and learned a lot from, and dare I say, I've made some friends, which is not something I do very often. So, over the course of this, we had the two pilots. The first one that was failed, and the second one that was, I consider, a success. And then we had the third episode was a self. I basically went over my interview format with myself and kind of gave a rundown of my background, my history, who I am as a writer, because that's the kind of creative I am. And then we, episode after episode, episode 4, we had Tanya, who's a photographer, graphic designer. Tanya is a friend of mine, and it helped me. I have an anxiety disorder. I'm extremely introverted. So, my first conversation being with somebody that I know was extremely helpful. And then afterwards, through Tanya, my second interview was actually her brother Jeremiah, who's another writer. Um, a a I don't want to say a recluse. I would probably rather say I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, a minute ago when I was talking about the purpose of the show, the reason I was talking about that was to, as I'm going to backtrack a little bit, was to mention that these episodes are not edited. That's kind of the purpose of the conversation, is to discuss being okay with failures and rejections and learning how to use them to our benefit, to learn from them, and grow from them. So, any mistakes, any screw ups, the first episode is the failed pilot. I don't edit anything after the conversations after I film these. I film them, and then they exist in all these places, in all those forms, with all those bruises, warts, blemishes, and all the shit that, I, whatever. All the things that all the things that happen. Um, and like I said, I'm not generally an outgoing, talkative person, so all of this is still fairly new to me, in general. And as if you go back and watch the previous episodes, if you're new here or have never seen them before, you will definitely see some, in some cases, unwatchable moments, but it's part of the process. And I think it was important for me to put this new thing that I was trying out there in a format that was in keeping with the conversation. So we had Tanya, we had Jeremiah, and then I did not have a guest for episode 7, so I talked a bit and I tried to do a tangent themed episode, which I feel like I kind of dropped after that. So I'd like to avoid this self thing, except maybe on episode 1 of each season and the season finale if I don't have anybody. But going forward for season 2, we're going to talk a little bit about that here in a little bit. I'd like to avoid episodes where I don't have guests. That would be fantastic. So for podcast listeners, all the information that I've talked about previously, that I pointed to, linktree, all that stuff, as per usual, will be in the show notes, episode description. I have been away for a bit, so I am out of practice. I am not following my little outline that I made here, and I'm rambling, and I apologize for that. This is all on me. There has been a lot going on, and this kind of got, I don't want to say deprioritized, but I do want to say that I had to manage my time a little differently for a while. So I wanted to make sure I got at least a proper season finale to, say thank you and, peace out to anybody that, has been involved in this and watching. And hopefully my intention is to not be done with this. If that's what happens over the course of the summer when, I should be coming back for season 2, then we'll talk about that. Anyway, we're going to talk about this in a little bit. I'm getting out of my, I was going to say wheelhouse, but I'm usually out of my wheelhouse in pretty much everything. So, episode 7 after myself, there was episode 8, which was Nicole. Nicole was the first person that I talked to that I was completely unfamiliar with prior to speaking to her. She's another writer. I think I kind of stayed in the general. I have an easier time talking to other writers because I tend to understand the contexts in which they work. So, let's see if I have managed to resolve my coffee pouring sounds from the previous episodes. It's a great conversation. One of the things that I did do was for Anybody who has been a guest was I created a Discord, and there's actually a new member. I guess I don't know the Discord. I'm getting old, which is part of this conversation. There's a question and answer thing, and it gives you a label or a what is it? Is it a label? I don't know what it is. The only other person in the Discord, out of as far as I know right now, is my son, who is a leaving for college soon, and is a beginning his journey towards voice acting. So we are. That's one of the things. Anyway, so talked to Nicole, and then episode 9, the last episode, which has been weeks now, was Esmery, who is a writer and a former costume designer. And I will say that Nicole is a friend of a friend. Um, and I have, Esmery was the first person that I've had on here that I had previously no interpersonal connection to in any way through other people. Um, I there is a association for writers that holds a mentor mentee program periodically throughout the year, and we were both in a Slack channel for this association. And I kind of put myself out there in the Slack channel. There's a lot of writers in there, published and unpublished, and a lot of really cool people, a lot of really cool conversations. Kind of keep track of what's going on in the market and other things. Um, and I kind of put myself out there, put the podcast in one of the channels on Slack, and got a few people that were interested. And out of the ones that were, Esmery actually came on, and we had a conversation, and I networked. I made a connection with another writer, and it was a really, really fascinating, great conversation. And I love all of these episodes, and I love all of these conversations. But I think that I'm kind of proud of that one because I was completely out of my comfort zone talking to someone I have never spoken to before, and again, we're making connections, and we're talking about things that we have in common that we wouldn't otherwise know about because you don't know people. I don't know a lot of generally know people. So the surprising ease with which I ended up talking to a lot of these people has been surprising. And one of the things that I ended up doing was I talked about the Discord, so everybody gets labels for when they come in. But I have a Facebook group called Abject Demiurge, a guest book for creatives. And it's a Facebook group for any previous guests. Anybody that's been a guest on the show, I send them an invite. They can come in, and we can kind of keep up with each other and see what each other's doing. I kind of want to do a thing where down the road, everybody kind of comes together and talks about where they've been, what they're doing, what has and has not changed, if they want to do that. I mean, nobody really has to. I still have a lot of ideas and plans for this, which brings me to I don't want to do that yet. I just want to kind of end this thing with saying thank you to everyone. If you've been a previous guest on here, I kind of tried to keep up a little bit, here and there with what everybody was doing. Uh, you know, it, becoming friends on social media or followers on social media, or um, and the other places where we exist together, forming relationships and friendships, and that has been something new for me. And it's been really nice. And so I want to thank everybody that's helped me go outside of my normal um, mode of operation, I guess. And allowed me to communicate with them and have conversations with them. And because some of these conversations have been, kind of personal, and it's always personal when you're talking about your failures and setbacks and the things that get in your way. And it's hard to talk about that stuff. And I really, really appreciate that all of you were able to come on here and do that. And I just wanted to say thank you. This still exists, and I didn't quit on it because I found myself enjoying it, and you were all extremely kind, generous, and cool folks. I guess is what I want to get at. Y'all are pretty cool. So thank you for that. And I try to, make sure I'm keeping up with y'all, and I like y'all's posts on social media every now and then and whatnot. And shout out to Jeremiah because I actually said I was going to follow up with you in an email, and I did not do that. And I intend to do that, and I apologize because someone said that somebody that I'm actually friends with in the real world had mentioned something about him being like my long lost brother or something. Do I have one of those? Maybe I have one. Anyway, this is getting weird. Anyway, now that we've gotten that out of the way, thanks y'all. Y'all have been great. Biggest setbacks. So this is the part that I think my biggest issue is that I started this show on a whim. Honestly, to be completely honest, I don't even at this point remember why or how. It just decided it was something that I wanted to do before I had a mic, before I had a ring light, before any of this shit that I'm using now. Got my little stream deck here that I still don't. I'm still kind of good at. I get learning, I guess. But anyway, so one of the things I did was I just kind of started this, on a whim, and it just kind of went from there. And as I learned more, I got things and changed things and modified things in order to do better, I guess, as learning as we go, which is the point, of the conversation and having these things out there for posterity. Um, I think one of the biggest issues that I made for myself was that I basically put an episode out each time I had a guest. Instead of, lining them up ahead of time and, dropping episodes on a weekly basis like I probably should have or could have done had I not just decided one day I was going to have a podcast. Or is this a vodcast? Vlogcast? Vlog? Whatever. I've learned nothing from my favorite YouTubers. But whatever. I think that my inability to plan ahead guest wise, and some of that is an inability to plan ahead, and some of that is I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, and some of that is fear. There were a lot of people that I've reached out to on the internet, people that I follow, people that, whose work I've bought, things that I've purchased from the internet, from artists and things like that, other writers. And I've reached out to them and I said, hey, I got this thing. You want to do this thing? And, I try to put myself out there a little bit, but a lot of it's fear is really hard for me to make that leap. So that I think that would be my biggest setback. Early on, another issue was getting people on here. I do actually have a jot form that I use now that I send out to people. Initially, I was just emailing people and asking them and having conversations with them. I think that the online form, while it does help things seem a little bit more professional, I think that it might also be making people think it's a little bit scammy. And if that was the result, then I apologize. It was not my intention to come across like I was trying to scam you out of anything. It's just easier for me to email you, or easier for me to just have the form there for you to fill out and get all the basic deets out of the way. So another setback, though I don't know that I actually consider it a setback, would be my inherent need to make people feel comfortable. I have a no hard feelings, no show policy. If you've seen my sign up form, which I did for anybody that did it in the past, I did remove the email verification step from that. As long as you fill out with your email, you don't have to verify it with the code anymore, which is less comfortable on my end, but I think it was another roadblock to people completing the form and making them not want to. So I did remove that. Anyway, I have a strict no show, no hard feelings policy. I understand that putting yourself out there is incredibly terrifying. And so I don't really, if you're messaging me, and it has happened numerous times through season one, and it is not an issue. And I don't want anybody who may have been one of those people that came across this thinking, oh shit, it is fine with me. I absolutely understand that last minute jitters and deciding that you don't want to do this and you don't want to tell me you don't want to do it, and I get it. I'm one of those. So I've been putting this off for about 2 weeks out of just sheer terror. So I get it. I don't really consider that a setback as much as just something that may have, in conjunction with my lack of preparation with having guests booked ahead of time and recorded ahead of time, in conjunction with that, it may have been problematic with having consistent content. I guess I don't like that word. Consistent conversations. It feels better to me. So there also was a whole Substack debacle. I did switch from my old Squarespace site, which I've had for probably a decade, which I was hosting the podcast on. Then I switched to Substack to host the podcast there, and then there was a whole thing where I got super excited about a shiny new thing. I think I talked about this in a previous episode. There was a shiny new thing, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna publish there too, and put my book there too." And it wore off, and I got back to my general thing. Um, that was distracting. So yeah, there was that whole Substack debacle. I like the platform. I do wish if Substack anyone ever happens to happen upon this, it would be really great if you could give us a way to label our podcast episodes by seasons, because that currently, last time I looked, does not exist. I also fumbled I think another big of my biggest setbacks was the aesthetic. I fumbled early on, trying to find a consistent visual aesthetic to the show. My first early episodes were stop motion on a chalkboard, which was a lot of fun and it was really cool, but it made production extremely long and complicated because every episode had to be done individually, and that was a little bit much. and time consuming. So after a few episodes, I did switch to the current thing, which is still stop motion, but I did it by going into Canva, and I actually did everything one step at a time. Downloaded each tile and then animated it in was it iMovie? I don't even have Final Cut or anything like that. So, I'm still new at this and I'm on a budget. So, um, another big setback: the ever-present full-time day job. As I have talked about ad nauseum previously, as a writer, my writing takes a backseat to my daily schedule, which pays the bills. Full-time job, which I will say is definitely more than 40 hours a week. So writing and this get squeezed in there in the middle of that. So with that being said, I'm working diligently on the novel. I'm about finished with the fourth draft, estimating it to be about 120,000 words. Last draft was 140. I think I'm gonna at least shave that down by at least 120. This draft or next draft, I hope to get it. I kind of want it below 90,000, but I don't know that it's gonna get there. Depends on when we get to that draft. That is, other than the full time job, which pays the bills and allows all of these to happen. The novel is the priority. That is the dream, the goal. That's what we've been talking about this entire time with everyone else. So if that work needs to be put aside less than anything else. One thing that did happen that was really frustrating was I created a TikTok. I'm not proud of that. It's not really something that I wanted to do, but I follow creators, and I'm a law nerd and a law tuber. Don't tell anyone. I have a hat around here somewhere. Where's my Emily D. Baker hat? Is around here somewhere. That the kids got me for Father's Day. Uh, so I kind of take cues from my favorite YouTube creators, and they all have like TikToks and Instagrams and do reels, and I'm trying to learn how to do all that shit, but it's a lot, and it's a lot. So anyway, I created this TikTok. I never posted to it. I don't even think I think I followed a couple people. I don't think I had any followers. I never posted anything. Every time I'd open it, it was just like shit screaming at me, and it was a lot. So I just kind of closed it and left it there. And I actually went to open the app one time to post one of those reels that I actually did put, or the shorts that I put on YouTube or something. And it said that I was permanently blocked or banned or something. I don't know what the hell that was about. I never interacted with anybody on there, but it said due to multiple violations, so whatever. It's kind of still there. I appealed it a couple times. I don't know that that means anything. So it is what it is. I don't really care. It doesn't hurt my feelings any. I would like it for the outreach, but it doesn't really hurt my feelings any about it. So there's a TikTok out there somewhere in the ether that's invisible, I guess, whatever. So that went well. Um, so there's the day job, there's the book. I that is important. Another thing. Um, so all those things were happening while recording this first season. It was a lot, but part of what has happened to me this year, and part of the reason why, for those of you that know me and have known me for a long time, uh, my Asperger's tends to get in the way a lot. Um, but I usually kind of try to stick with a couple things. And I've always kind of tried to stay busy and stayed moving and, kept at doing things. But I'd say probably in the last decade or so, maybe slightly before the pandemic, I started slowing down and having a lot of empty space in my clock, and it's extremely bothersome to me. I don't do well in the quiet and the silence, and I turned 40 last September, and I'll tell you that the first half of 40, we talked about this a little bit in the episode with Tanya. Tanya and I talked a little bit about getting older, and the first half of 40 about killed me. Um, I had a lot of goals and plans and things that I expected to do. And as I've mentioned before, my 40th birthday was the first year that that was the first year of my life in which I'd been alive more years than I'd had rejections in my name to publishers and agents and all those things. So the first half of 40 hit me pretty hard. Um, then the second half of 40, you start coming down off the oh my god, I'm going to die soon. And you start, at least for me, I started finding that old younger me mentality, the I'll rest when I'm dead kind of thing. Burning the candle at both ends makes the light brighter, I guess is what I meant to say. Anyway, so suddenly I found myself trying to fill all that space and that time with things, and there were a lot of different things I tried. I did pick up woodworking during the pandemic, not like woodworking like making things, but woodworking like building, like carpentry during building. So during the pandemic, so I've been learning. I not learning. I've been trying to feel less like I'm wasting my time. So this was one of the things that I actually found that kind of felt like it was sticking, that I kind of enjoyed, and I would like to continue to enjoy it. But there's got to be some space in there. I just sat down with my Xbox to play Diablo 4 for the first time in months the other night. Um, that's a lot. So there's been a lot going on this year. So a lot of it, show wise, has just dealt with me not being prepared for this process, me not understanding what I was getting myself into. Um, you know, lessons learned. Hindsight's 2020, and going forward, I'm gonna take a break this summer. I'm not sure when that means season two will come back. You know, but we're gonna talk about that here in a little bit. Um, what is happening now? So this is what my next section is called. What's happening now? One of the biggest things happening now is I have a one of our oldest is shuffling off to college. Um, these notes say 6 weeks. That's how long I've been planning on recording this finale. It's probably more like three now. It's probably half that, 3 or 4 weeks now. So, um, so we've been dealing with that. We've got one leaving for college, and I mentioned that earlier. Um, so that's exciting and horrifying and all of the you know in betweens emotions and things that exist between excitement and horror that go along with that. Um, Another thing that's been happening last few weeks is we're in Texas and it's fucking hot here all the time. And last year we got a pool, but we took it down for the winter, which I wish we hadn't done. So we got to put it back up this year for the summer, and I ended up just building a permanent deck platform for it. So I've been working on a deck for like a deck extension for like the last 2 weeks. It's pretty much done. At least the pool part of it is. I got a few odds and ends to work on. But that's been happening. Um, we are also planning. I am planning to hopefully prior to season two beginning uh, converting a bedroom, one of our bedrooms, into a study slash studio. Um, you can't really tell from the frame that is here, but this is our dining room. This study area is in our dining room. So we are planning on converting a room into a studio slash study. So this may be going away, or it may be something different, or whatever. That's happening. I don't know when it's going to be done. I don't know when it's even going to start. So we'll see when season 2 comes around. If you follow me on socials, I'm sure I'll be sharing pictures and shit. So, big thing. I'm finally finishing my degree. I've been working on it. My English lit. I'm an English lit major, and I've been working on that for what year is it? Oh shit, since 2013. So I've been working on my degree for almost a decade now. I am almost done. We had a major family event many years ago that required me to leave school, which is, part of the conversation. Failure, setbacks. I consider that a failure, leaving college. But I'm officially back in school, and I'm working on finishing up my degree. I actually am working towards my MFA, uh, which is Master of the Fine Arts. For anybody that is unaware, that is the ultimate plan. I'm still trying to finish up my undergrad degree currently, but the ultimate goal is an MFA in fiction writing. It's just taken years. It's been a long, long, tumultuous road, and we're getting there. So I'm really not too keen on this season finale going the way that it is. Would have really liked to talk to somebody for it, but this is a good way to. I feel like this is a good way to cap it off and say these are all the things that I failed at. These are all the things that these are all the things that did happen. These are all the things that are happening. And part of the reason why I'm capping this at 10 episodes, you know, the first season of Walking Dead was like 6 episodes, right? Nobody knew if it was going to go anywhere. 36 years later. Anyway, another thing. I am slowly. I don't know if this is going to happen in time for season 2. I highly doubt it, and I'm trying not to give myself an impossible goal. I have been slowly trying to learn how to use Blender, maybe for some 2D animation to create a more professional aesthetic experience. Probably going to keep what we have now here because I still am pretty proud of the little animations that I've done here, the intros and stuff. But I'm kind of wanting to learn how to do something better. If I could afford to hire somebody to do it for me, that would be the best. But that's not. Again, this show happens on a budget because I don't. This happens for free. Yeah, there's no ad reads here. There's no marketing or anything. So I just do this myself. So it's not making any money. So I don't have a lot of money to put into it. Because the conversation is important to me. I actually legitimately have come to believe that this conversation is important. So I'm trying to figure out Blender. It's a new to thing to me. I'm not well versed in most things that aren't writing as far as creativity goes. So we'll figure it out. And if we don't, I've already got some stuff to use. I don't hate it. I just think that it, could be use a little bit more pizzazz. I guess I'm not sure how I feel about that word. So, what to expect next season? I am kind of wrapping this up a little bit, but not. during the break between seasons, one thing I want to do is actually have these conversations between seasons. I want to record some interviews. I'm going to start reaching out to folks. There are some people that I know on social media that I am no longer connected to because I just recently started using social media around the time I started this podcast. I'd been off of it for a number of years, at least in most cases, except my Twitter, which now I'm not touching. Um, well, a little, but mostly just to talk shit to Ted Cruz. Anyway, um, so I kind of want to instead, start recording some interviews in the off season, so that when the new season starts, I can just start scheduling them out, and which is from what I understand, most podcasts and things like that. It's what they do. Um, Had I known that in advance, I probably still wouldn't have done it because this literally was the result of a wild hair on my ass. And, you know, hey, we're 10 episodes in. We'll see what happens. I would like to start recording those in advance, though. So you're going to maybe, if you stumble across this and you're interested, just, shoot me a message on any one of my socials. My email's out there on my linktree. Find me. Find me on my linktree right up there. And we'll chat and whatever. Um, so next season, I plan on having the interviews done ahead of time in order to at least pad the season for at least a few episodes in, because I like to get it a little bit more than 10 episodes for season 2. Um, Not that this season finale discussion has been any indication of it, but I plan on being a more confident, less awkward host, which I feel like I've gotten really good at when I'm talking to somebody. I feel like I've gotten better at letting the conversation happen as opposed to what I thought a conversation that I thought needed to be controlled and led actually turned out to be much more organic conversation. So I think I've gotten better at that. This not so much, which is why I don't enjoy this just me talking at people. Um, I'm not confident and I'm awkward. So that's just inherently me. So I apologize. Um, as mentioned in the intro, going forward, Twitch will not be a part of this going forward. So, it is what it is, unless something has changed or does change. They're no longer. Um, they are no longer allowing multi-streaming from um, everyone now, not just partners. So it is what it is. If they want to shoot themselves in the foot, or maybe it doesn't affect them any, more power to them. Whatever. They are owned by Amazon, so I don't necessarily know that they care. Uh, I also next season do plan on, especially if I can get some of these conversations recorded ahead of time. It'll make it a little bit easier. I do plan on doing better with the Instagram reels, the Facebook reels, the YouTube shorts, things like that. I do plan on doing better with those. Um, Maybe a little bit more creative, maybe a little bit more fun. I know that some of the creators that I follow on YouTube are doing a lot of that, and I try to take notes, and you know I'm learning. This has been a learning experience from day one, so I think I've gotten better, and you know I plan on trying to do better with those. Hopefully, in my notes here it says hopefully I've gotten better with Blender by the time season 2 comes around, that we can have better intros and stuff. I actually am not expecting that. I wrote this when I was first starting it, and after having spent some time in there learning it, I'm not completely confident in my ability to learn it that quickly, or maybe to learn it to an extent that is helpful that quickly. So I'm going to assume that, unless unless I learn that overnight at some point suddenly, that that change will come farther down the road. I have, although separate from that, I have been tinkering with a rough draft edit of a trailer. So I kind of want to edit a season two trailer, which also may become the intro. It'll be the same animation, but I'm kind of playing around with taking some sound bites out of each episode from some of my favorite things that we've talked about or said, and kind of editing them into a little like trailer slash new intro. I kind of want to get it, with that boom sound that they use in movie trailers, whatever. I think that'd be kind of cool. Anyway, um, I've actually been looking into fancy neon signs, with the podcast name. I actually did get a quote on one. It was like $450 on Etsy. So to that seller, I apologize that I booked on you, but that was more than I was expecting. So I kind of do want to do get something like that. You know, just for the background when we get the new room, which we don't have access to yet anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Uh, Another thing that I kind of had some other ideas related to, because I have this channel and I have these social media accounts, and I kind of want to play around with next season, either doing this, continue doing it weekly, depending on how many interviews I get scheduled in the off season, or bi-weekly. I kind of still want to stay weekly with these because I do really think that if I can get people, if I can get some more people to talk, and we can get some more conversations recorded and scheduled, there's a lot of different perspectives and voices out there. I have said since the beginning I really want to talk to somebody who's a trained dancer, but I want to talk to painters and sculptors and musicians. When we talked to Michael, somehow I skipped his episode when I was talking about it here because I had Jeremiah noted twice in here instead of Michael in episode 6. But Michael is a multi-talented man, and he one of his things was talking about musicianship, and I highly, highly recommend everyone, if you got to go back and watch one episode. Well, I want you to go back and watch all the episodes, but I could say this about any one of these people depending on what we're talking about. I will say Michael is one to watch if you're interested in learning new shit about stuff that you didn't know, because that dude does a lot of really cool shit. So one of the things that I want to start doing is I want to create maybe separate playlists on YouTube and use this platform for a few other things. I kind of have an idea for a weekly stream. I put it in my notes to talk about it on here, but I don't really think I'm going to do that yet because I'm not really sure how it's going to play out. But I kind of want to start doing something else weekly that isn't this. But we'll have to see how that goes when we get there. So keep an eye out for that around the time season 2 starts, maybe before, because I kind of may want to start doing that here in the summer. Something else that's kind of I'm planning. I don't know. I'm not really going to say what it is right now, even though I had it in my notes to do that. Um, I don't want to make promises I can't keep. Because if you've been here long enough, you know that I struggle with that a little bit. Um, Also, for those of you that have been following me on social media before any of this, that are and know me personally in real life, I do Extra Life every year. I am on my 7th year of Extra Life, which is a charity for sick and injured children through Children's Miracle Network. Um, every year on the beginning of November, we have a 24-hour game day where we stream playing games to raise money. The last few years, I have not been very involved in it, and it is a great shame of my life because I love being a part of that. So I kind of want to get back into that, but I kind of want to start doing periodic streams. I'm trying to get a capture card. Most of my stuff here is Elgato, and they have a capture card that can work with my Mac and my Xbox. And I kind of want to start incorporating periodic um, game streams into my into this, so I can start raising some more money for Extra Life, because it's important to me for a lot of reasons. Um, I've been slacking off the last few years, and I really enjoy being a part of the Extra Life community. Um, hashtag Extra Life for Kids. Anyway, and another thing, um, I really with being back in school, um, my writing schedule is changing, but I am really, I cannot stress this to myself often enough, and I guess seriously enough that I need to be having my manuscript ready, um, to go to an editor, um, within this next year. It needs to go to an editor before querying agents. So I do use what's the website, Beta Read. I don't have any chapters in it yet. Um, but I do plan on. So if anybody's interested, you'll get invites. A lot of y'all that know me, you'll get invites to use the online beta reading inline editing tool for me when we get there. Um, but I do need to be working on that too. So during this downtime between seasons, I'm going to be taking time to try to iron out the schedule between uh, finishing undergrad degree and getting into my MFA program, finishing my finishing the novel, and continuing with this, because again, this, I'm not in any way diminishing the importance of this. I have really enjoyed it, and I want it to continue. I do need a break. There's a lot of stuff going on, so uh, I've rambled about a bunch of shit, and if you know anybody made it this far, I thank you for that too. Again, if you know anybody that might want to partake in season two, I want to start recording those as soon as I possibly can, so that we can put them in a can and I can put them in a vault and start. Once season two gets scheduled, I can start putting these episodes out there, but have them ready ahead of time. So if you stuck around for me babbling this long, then I thank you. So I'm just gonna. I kind of want to. We're just gonna kind of close this out here in a second. So bear with me. So again, in closing, I wanna thank my guests. Y'all have been great. I mean, really. I know I said this at the outset. Not as early as I wanted to. I had actually planned to thank y'all a lot sooner than I did, but um, I really do want to thank. I really do want to thank the people that did come on here, because y'all put yourselves out there. I know I was putting myself out here, and I know I say that a lot, but y'all were putting yourself out here. You basically, a dude said, "Hey, do you want to come talk to me about all the mistakes that you've made?" It's hard. It's a hard thing to do, and I want to thank y'all for putting yourselves out there. It's been eye opening. It's been enlightening, and it's been absolutely fascinating to find out. Even if we don't exist in the same artistic circles, how much of our experiences are the same has just been fascinating. And I really do believe that this conversation is important, not just for people to hear, and general society to understand that the amount of trial and error that goes into being a successful creative person is important for people to know. Um, I also think it's important for us. It's been important for me. It's motivated me. I and talking with y'all that were on here, I think it's been helpful for y'all in some way. At least I hope so. So Tanya, Jeremiah, Michael, Nicole, Esmery, y'all made this, gave value to this thing that I didn't know. I wasn't even sure I could mine for anything valuable. So, it was kind of a fluke thing that I thought I'd try. And y'all actually made it something worth doing. And I'm immeasurably thankful for y'all. So if you're watching this and you got this far, this still exists and this season finale is happening because y'all made me feel like it's important. So thank y'all for that. Viewers, friends and family, y'all know. Thank y'all. I'm glad y'all stick around and keep cheering me on and, asking me about it and asking me when episodes are and texting me and, all the things. I thank y'all. If you've been a regular viewer and I don't actually know you, I'm super stoked that you exist and that you're out there and that you're watching and listening. And that is just awesome. And I hope to continue to maybe keep doing that. And anybody that's following me on social media, even if you don't listen to this, you know, try harder. I'm just kidding. No, seriously. What the hell? No. Anyway, I just want to thank everybody. I'll still be on socials in the off season, continuing to spread the woke mind virus whenever possible. So look out for that. The woke mind virus. We got to get it out. We got to spread it to all the, the Merkins. So I'll still be out there doing that, getting suspended on Twitter for talking shit to Ted Cruz and whatnot. I'm only partially kidding. Anyway, I'll still be out there on socials whenever I have an update. If I manage to get some interviews prior to, during the summer that, I can put in the vault until season 2 starts, I'll be updating that. You can find me on all the things except TikTok, clearly, for some reason. And, while we're on there talking to each other, if you're seeing my shit, go ahead and share it, spread it, send it to creative people that you know, friends, family, whatever. I don't need to know them. Um, you know, I'm down for a conversation with anybody. There's always something to learn from someone else's experiences, and I much prefer that than this because you've been here for the last hour and 3.5 minutes, and this is a slog. And it's no more fun for me to just talk for an hour than it is for you to listen to me talk for an hour. So send all the artists this way. This is not just about people who feel they have succeeded. It's about normalizing the discussion around the negative aspects of creation. So, anybody, if they've given up, if they've quit, if they've put their art aside, if they're succeeding at their art, if they're, I have a list of folks that I really, really would like to talk to, that I absolutely feel are out of my reach, that are out of my league, that I don't know that I can communicate with. I am considering doing social media posts in which I tag all those people just to see what happens. Most of them have actually messaged. A few artists on Instagram I follow, some people on Facebook I follow, some writers, some artists, some painters, things like that. Even if I don't get a response, I kind of want to put my wish list out there anyway, just for posterity. But there are a lot of people that I would like to talk to that are succeeding, and intersperse that throughout the people who are just trying to make a living with their art. I also want to talk to those people who are succeeding in making a living off their art, which is pretty much all any of us can hope for. Um, it doesn't matter where you are in your artistic journey, basically, or how you feel about your abilities. If you're new to, if you're dipping your toes in the pond, so to speak, of your artistic journey, then there's something to be learned from everyone. All our experiences are different. All our experiences are different, but um, they're also a lot more alike than I would have imagined. So, my iPad just fell. And when my iPad fell, it hit the transition key somehow. So, we're going to just leave that like it is. Um, so, yeah, send everybody my way. Let's talk. Um, so, I guess that's it for the season one finale. You can watch my show. This has been an Abject Demiurge podcast for creatives. I'm Alex. Um, every Monday morning, at least when season two starts, on video form on YouTube and Facebook. You can listen to the audio wherever you get your podcasts. My link tree has links to all the places. The podcast where it's hosted on Substack, you can listen there. A link to all of the podcasting services where this plays. It's got a YouTube link. It's got Substack actually has the YouTube in each episode. It's in all the places. If you follow the link tree, you can find me pretty much everywhere I exist on the internet now. So I have a regular blog out there where I talk about cool shit. It's kind of annoying, but whatever. Um, yeah. So I'm gonna close like I usually do. Thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for coming. I'll see you hopefully at the end of the summer. We'll have some really cool conversations for you. Some really cool people. Um, Again, send everybody my way. If you think anybody's a good candidate for having these conversations, I'm down for it. So, as usual, whatever it is that you do, keep at it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for catching this. Yeah, whatever it is you do, keep at it. That's the most important thing. Thanks. Should I should I do like a little Marvel-esque post-credit scene? You know. Shit, I'm still. So anyway, thank y'all for being here. This has been the season one finale of Abject Demiurge, a podcast for creatives with your host Alex D. Holden. Thank y'all for being here, and goodbye. I guess I did do that Marvel thing.